Hi, middle school students. This weekend my family decided to go and do our social distancing at our cabin in the middle of the woods, which is where I am right now. So our videos are going to be from the woods this week. And behind me, you might be able to see this gigantic fort. My cousins have all worked together to build a fort out here in the woods right next to this stream. So let's go take a look inside. Welcome to the outside fort. So I'm currently inside the fort and there is a bee around here. Anyway, so today we're talking about water as a natural resource. So I'm sitting in the middle of this fort, which is right between two rivers that are coming together, or streams coming together. And so there's this beautiful water noise in the background. But thinking about the video that we saw earlier this week and stuff that we learned last week, water is so important. Water is incredibly important for living things all over our planet. It's the only way that life can survive on our planet. But for us, we cannot drink or consume salt water, which is what 97% of our planet's water is. Most of it is salt. So how do we determine what is okay to do with the small amount of fresh water that we have? So a natural resource is a resource that humans need that comes from nature. Water is one of the big ones. Water and food are the two biggest things. And when we think about natural resources, we got to think about whether or not they are renewable. So this week you've been reading about renewable, non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are things that get replaced over time and they will come back easily. So wind is one of those, sunlight is one of those, water is another one. But the thing with water that is kind of unique with the other kinds is that even though the water is never going to run out, we can still use so much of it that we run out of fresh water or can't get enough fresh water to meet our needs. Even though the fresh water is still coming, it's not running out. We're never gonna not be able to find it. It's just not producing enough. There's not enough coming out of the ground, out of wells, out of all the places we get our fresh water to actually allow us to do the things we do. So is water a renewable resource? Yes, but it is one of the only renewable resources that can run out depending on how much you use it. So how do we use water? Well, of course, you guys know, we use water for everything. Drinking, washing, cleaning stuff, watering our plants if you have any, keeping our animals from dying of thirst and all that. So water is used in so many ways. But there are other ways that you might not even think about it being used. Water is used all the time to cool things down. So at a nuclear power plant, there is a lot of heat that's produced from the nuclear reactions going on in the reactor, and water is used to carry that heat and to produce steam to power the generators that actually make electricity. So water is used to create electricity in a weird way. Water is also used in hydroelectric dams, where the water flows through the dam, through these specific channels, and spins these fans that produce electricity. So it's hydroelectric power that comes from flowing water. Something that you might not know is that water is used to cut steel or cut metal in big factories where they might not be able to use really expensive lasers or something to cut out steel. They will actually use water, an incredibly focused jet of water, to slice through the steel. Because when water is moving fast enough, it is incredibly powerful. And when you have enough pressure on it, it's incredibly powerful. It can slice through even steel. So we use water in tons of ways. But a lot of the times, we are not very efficient with our water. Efficiency is the idea of, am I using all the water that I can to do as much with it as I can? So your house, your school, your church produces 3 different kinds of water. And we learned about this in the first video, the first week, or the second video. There is pure water, which is water that's perfectly clean. We can drink it, we can do anything with it. Then there is gray water. gray water is water that has been used for something. So maybe it was used in like a shower or something, or to wash your face, or to rinse some dishes, or any number of things, where it's not incredibly dirty, but it is not pure either. It's in the middle. And then, of course, the third kind is wastewater, which is like straight out of the toilet, straight out of the laundry, where it's just like, nope, we can't use this anymore. It is gross. It is awful. It has to be cleaned. So we use filters to clean our water then, so that it's pure again. But a lot of the times, people don't have any reason to use their gray water for anything else. So we just wash off our car, and then we're done. Or we just do the dishes, and then the water just drains away. But some people who live in more like desert areas, or areas that it's harder to find water, actually find ways to use that gray water over again. So after they wash their dishes with water, they save that. And then they use that to water their garden, so that they get almost 2 uses out of the same water. And so they are increasing their efficiency of water usage. So when we think about what we do at our own houses, think about, like, are you being efficient with your water at all? Is there anything that you could do to improve that efficiency? So things that inventions that people have created to help with this is there are these new types of toilets that actually have 2 separate buttons, or sometimes that you can twist a handle 2 different ways, or slide something 2 different ways. Anyway, they have one that will produce a smaller amount of water if, like, you just don't have as much large things in the toilet to get rid of. Anyway, and then the other one is where it will use a lot of water to flush. So you don't have to use a ton of water if you don't need to. And there are lots of other things that help us to save and reuse water. So water is a very, very important natural resource. And it's something that people don't think about a lot because it just seems like it's everywhere, that there's water all over the place. But really, it's something that we need to be careful about and think about how we're using it. Because not only can you save the water that you use if you can find ways to use gray water, but you can also find ways to save energy as well, because the energy doesn't need to be used to pump the water to your house, to store the water, to get the water out of your faucet. All those things save both energy and water. So natural resources are super important, and we have to be careful how we use them. That's it for today. So signing off from the fort. See you next week.